In October 2021, Belgian and Spanish police conducted simultaneous raids that would expose one of Europe's largest cocaine smuggling networks. What they discovered wasn't just another drug operation. They had uncovered evidence that two of the world's most dangerous motorcycle gangs were operating competing cocaine empires through the same Belgian ports, setting the stage for a conflict that would reshape European organized crime. The raid centered on a single container that had arrived at Antwerp port, containing 11,497 kilograms of cocaine, hidden in scrap metal from South America. The man arrested for organizing this shipment was no ordinary smuggler. He was the president of the Bandidos motorcycle club in Spain, a Belgian national who had been using his position to coordinate massive drug trafficking operations through his home country's ports. But this was only half the story. Belgian authorities were simultaneously investigating Hells Angels operations that used the exact same routes, the same ports, and often the same methods to move cocaine from South America to European markets. Two rival criminal empires had been fighting an invisible war for control of Belgium's cocaine trade, the Antwerp Gateway. To understand this conflict, you need to know about Antwerp's role as Europe's cocaine capital. Belgian customs seized 116 tons of cocaine at the port of Antwerp in 2023, setting a record for the second consecutive year. In 2022, they had seized 110 tons. In 2021, the figure was 91 tons. These numbers represent only what authorities actually found among the 12 million containers that pass through the port each year. The Port of Antwerp is Europe's second largest container terminal, processing cargo from 20,000 ships annually. Most cocaine seized in Europe arrives in maritime shipping containers, with the majority coming from Colombia via Ecuador. The port's size and volume make it impossible to inspect more than a small percentage of containers, creating ideal conditions for large-scale smuggling operations. According to a report from the EU agency monitoring drugs and addiction, 75% of the 303 tons of cocaine stopped by EU member countries in 2021 was seized in Belgium, the Netherlands, and Spain. Belgian authorities estimate that only about 10% of the cocaine actually passing through the port is intercepted. This means that for every ton seized, approximately 9 tons reach European markets. After Dutch authorities stepped up their drug enforcement, criminal organizations shifted more of their operations to Antwerp, according to drug trade researchers. The street value of cocaine operations through Antwerp is estimated to generate revenues of approximately 50 billion euros annually. The Bandidos Network. The Bandidos Motorcycle Club was founded in Texas in 1966 and has since expanded to become an international organization with chapters on every continent except Antarctica. The club established its presence in Europe with a chapter in Marseille, France, in August 1989. This expansion marked the beginning of a conflict with the Hells Angels, who had established themselves as the dominant motorcycle club in Europe. Belgian federal police classify the Bandidos as a criminal motorcycle gang. According to law enforcement agencies in numerous countries, Bandidos members have been convicted of drug trafficking, money laundering, weapons trafficking, and violent crimes. The club operates multiple chapters across Belgium and has traditionally recruited members of various ethnic backgrounds. The Belgian branch of the Bandidos came to international attention through a series of major arrests. In September 2020, Bandidos members were among those arrested in Limburg as part of an investigation into a large-scale drug trafficking ring. This investigation began after Belgian authorities discovered almost 3,000 kilograms of cocaine at the port of Antwerp in late 2019. The most significant breakthrough came in October 2021, when a joint investigation by Belgian Federal Police and Spanish National Police resulted in 26 raids across Belgium, the Netherlands, and Spain. The operation involved hundreds of officers and represented months of international cooperation between law enforcement agencies. The target was a criminal network organized around a shipment of 11,497 kilograms of cocaine, hidden in scrap metal from South America to Antwerp. The drugs had been chemically processed to look like other materials, making them almost impossible to detect without advanced testing. This level of sophistication indicated connections to major South American cartels. The president of the Bandidos in Spain, a Belgian national, was arrested in Malaga on charges of drug trafficking, money laundering, and belonging to a criminal organization. 13 additional people were arrested in Belgium during the coordinated raids. Police seized 4 high-end vehicles valued at more than 700,000 euros, jewelry valued at 300,000 euros, 17,085 euros in cash, encrypted mobile phones, and hundreds of documents detailing the organization's operations. The Hells Angels operations. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club was founded in California in 1948 and has grown to become the largest outlaw motorcycle club in the world, with over 6,000 members and 592 charters in 66 countries. The Hells Angels established their first Belgian chapter on July 15, 1997, in Gent Brugge, which became known as the Ghent chapter. The organization currently operates 7 chapters across Belgium, including locations in Ghent, Antwerp, Coast, Charleroi City, Helleberg, and South Crew. Belgian authorities classify the Hells Angels as a criminal organization involved in various illegal activities. According to numerous police and international intelligence agencies, including the United States Department of Justice and Europol, the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is considered an organized crime syndicate. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Hells Angels may earn up to $1 billion in drug sales annually. The Angels' involvement in Belgian cocaine trafficking has been documented through multiple cases spanning several decades. In 2011, British national Conrad Toland was arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison for smuggling 155 kilograms of cocaine from Ecuador to Belgium inside a tuna shipment. According to court records, Toland supplied these drugs directly to the Hells Angels chapter in Bruges. More recently, in April 2025, Spanish police conducted operations that resulted in the seizure of over 1,000 kilograms of cocaine and the arrest of 20 people across Spain, Belgium, and France. According to police statements, some of the individuals arrested had ties to a faction of the Hells Angels motorcycle gang in Belgium, which was involved in controlling and retrieving drug shipments. The 2025 investigation revealed that the organization employed sophisticated methods, including so-called Spider-Men, who would climb stacks of containers in ports to reach those holding narcotics, break them open using specialized equipment, and then transfer the drugs to trucks for transportation to safe houses. According to Spanish police, the leader of the Belgian branch was one of the country's most wanted criminals, a fugitive who had been hiding in luxury villas along Spain's Costa Blanca. He was leading the organization through a member of the Belgian Hells Angels gang, who acted as his liaison. The violent reality. The rivalry between the Hells Angels and Bandidos has a long history of violence that extends far beyond Belgium. The conflict began in Europe when the Bandidos established their first European chapter in Marseille in August 1989. The first violent incident occurred in August 1991 when the Filthy Rebels, a Hells Angels-affiliated gang in Grenoble, carried out a drive-by shooting on Bandidos members, killing the Marseille chapter president and wounding 2 others. The most extensive period of violence was the Great Nordic Biker War, which lasted from January 1994 to September 1997 in parts of Scandinavia and Finland. The Nordic War resulted in 9 gang member deaths, with shootings and bombings totaling another 74 attempted murders. The bikers utilized car bombs, machine guns, hand grenades, anti-tank missiles, and small arms during their conflict. The most shocking incident occurred on March 10, 1996, when Bandidos members returning from a weekend in Helsinki were shot at Copenhagen Airport. 3 were wounded and 1, Uffe Larsson, was killed. 6 Hells Angels members and associates were convicted and sentenced to a total of 53 years in prison, with 1 receiving a life sentence. In Belgium, the rivalry has resulted in documented violence that continues to this day. The most serious incident occurred on May 20, 2011, when Hells Angels member Ali Ipexi shot and killed 3 people in an industrial zone in Maasmechelen. The victims were Outlaws member Freddie Putt, hangaround Jeff Banken, and supporter Michael Garrikins, who were attending an opening reception for a new tire center. According to court records, Ipexi shot the 3 men and then dumped their bodies in the canal at Eisdendorp in Maasmechelen. He was convicted of triple murder and sentenced to 30 years imprisonment on February 6, 2015. The case demonstrated the level of violence these organizations were willing to use to maintain territorial control and eliminate rivals. Belgian authorities have documented other incidents of gang-related violence involving both organizations. In one documented case from June 2018, Bandidos members allegedly stormed a lounge and pepper-sprayed a man wearing a Hells Angels t-shirt. In the past 4 years, Antwerp has experienced dozens of grenade attacks, fires, and small bombs, many linked to gangs fighting for control of the cocaine trade. In one tragic incident that shocked Belgian society, an 11-year-old girl was killed when caught in the crossfire of a gang shooting in Antwerp. Belgian prosecutors say that over the past 5 years, they have recorded more than 200 incidents of drug-related violence, mainly assaults and explosives thrown at homes. The corruption network. Both the Hells Angels and Bandidos have been linked to systematic corruption of law enforcement and port officials. The scale of this corruption became apparent in October 2020 when Belgian authorities arrested more than 20 people, including 3 active police officers, in connection with cocaine trafficking operations. The corruption investigation began after the seizure of 11.5 tons of cocaine, with an estimated wholesale value of about $530 million in a container of scrap metal from Guyana that arrived at the Antwerp port on October 27, 2020. Among those arrested was Willy van Mechelen, the former head of counter-narcotics of Belgium's gendarmerie. According to investigators, criminal organizations offer bribes that can reach 75,000 to 125,000 euros per drug shipment they help move. Corruption of law enforcement is not a new concern in Belgium. In 2018, Antwerp's mayor Bart de Vover said the scale of cocaine trafficking through the city's port was so vast, the corruption of local politicians was inevitable. The corruption network extends beyond police officers to customs officials and port workers. Criminal organizations systematically recruit individuals with access to sensitive information about shipping schedules, container locations, and law enforcement operations. Belgian authorities have discovered that both the Hells Angels and Bandidos have developed sophisticated methods for recruiting and managing corrupt officials. The port under attack. Criminal organizations have become increasingly bold in their attempts to reclaim seized drugs from Belgian authorities. In November 2023, 3 armed men broke into a customs facility at Antwerp port, forced workers at knife point to open a confiscated container, and stole cocaine that had been hidden among animal skins. According to Christian van der Weyeren, Director General of Belgium's customs agency, especially large seizures have prompted violent backlash from criminal organizations. Attacking the police, attacking the customs, this is not something you see in Europe, van der Weyeren said. I was really afraid that my people would be killed if this would continue. Additional attacks have followed this pattern. A customs warehouse was burned down in an arson attack in December 2023, in what officials suspect was an act of retaliation for customs seizures. The problem became so serious that confiscated cocaine shipments were piling up in customs facilities because the Belgian government didn't have the capacity to destroy drugs as quickly as they were being seized. In response to these attacks, Belgian authorities deployed military units to guard customs facilities and implemented new security procedures for handling seized drugs. The government also increased the capacity to quickly destroy confiscated narcotics to prevent theft attempts. The international response. The scale of cocaine trafficking through Belgian ports has prompted unprecedented international cooperation efforts. The Netherlands and Belgium have signed customs treaties with Ecuador, Colombia, and Panama, allowing European customs officials to be stationed in South American ports to inspect cargo before shipment to Europe. Europol has created special task forces dedicated to dismantling motorcycle gang operations. The unit brings together investigators from across Europe who specialize in biker gangs, drug trafficking, and organized crime. According to UN Office on Drugs and Crime reports, Latin American countries doubled their seizures of drugs bound for Antwerp in recent years, indicating the success of international cooperation efforts. Both Belgium and the Netherlands have enhanced their cooperation with Latin American authorities by posting customs attachés in Brazil, Panama, and other key source countries. These officials work directly with local authorities to identify suspicious shipments before they leave South American ports. The current situation. Recent data shows both the successes and ongoing challenges of law enforcement efforts against both the Hells Angels and Bandidos operations. Belgian officials announced that cocaine seizures at Antwerp dropped significantly to 44 tons in 2024, down from 121 tons in 2023 and 110 tons in 2022. However, the number of individual seizures actually increased, with a total of 136 seizures recorded, compared to 124 the previous year. This suggests that criminal organizations are adapting to enforcement pressure by breaking large shipments into smaller packages to spread risk across multiple containers and routes. Both the Hells Angels and Bandidos continue to operate in Belgium and maintain their rivalry. Intelligence reports indicate both organizations are adapting to increased law enforcement pressure by developing new smuggling methods, including chemical processes to disguise cocaine and more sophisticated corruption networks. The competition between these organizations extends beyond Belgium. Both gangs are establishing operations in other European ports, including Rotterdam, Hamburg, and Valencia, suggesting the conflict is expanding rather than diminishing. The technological arms race? Modern criminal organizations use sophisticated technology that challenges law enforcement capabilities. Both the Hells Angels and Bandidos have invested heavily in counter-surveillance technology and advanced communication systems to protect their operations. When European authorities successfully cracked the Sky ECC encrypted messaging service, they gained unprecedented insight into criminal operations. The breakthrough led to hundreds of arrests across Europe and revealed the internal workings of both Hells Angels and Bandidos operations. The messages contained detailed information about drug shipments, money transfers, and planned violence. Belgian authorities have responded by developing their own technological capabilities. They use artificial intelligence to analyze shipping patterns, deploy underwater drones to search for drugs hidden in ship hulls, and employ advanced chemical analysis to detect cocaine that has been chemically disguised. Both organizations have adapted to the loss of Sky ECC by developing new communication methods and operational security procedures. They now use multiple encrypted services simultaneously, change communication methods regularly, and employ technical experts to detect potential law enforcement monitoring. The financial networks. Both the Hells Angels and Bandidos operate sophisticated money laundering networks that rival legitimate financial institutions in their complexity. According to FBI estimates, the Hells Angels may earn up to $1 billion annually from drug sales. These enormous profits provide both organizations with resources that rival those of law enforcement agencies. The organizations invest criminal proceeds in legitimate businesses, real estate, luxury goods, and complex international financial structures involving shell companies and cryptocurrency. During the October 2021 raids targeting the Bandidos network, police seized 4 high-end vehicles worth more than 700,000 euros, jewelry valued at 300,000 euros, and significant amounts of cash. The use of cryptocurrency has added another layer of complexity to money laundering operations. Both organizations have embraced digital currencies as a way to move money across borders without detection. During recent raids, police have seized cryptocurrency wallets containing significant amounts of various digital currencies. The global reach. What makes the current situation particularly challenging is the global reach of both organizations. The Hells Angels operate in more than 40 countries, with over 6,000 members and 592 charters worldwide, making it the largest outlaw motorcycle club in the world. The Bandidos have chapters on every continent except Antarctica. This international presence allows both gangs to exploit differences in law enforcement capabilities between countries. They can plan operations in countries with weak legal systems, move money through jurisdictions with bank secrecy laws, and hide from authorities in nations with limited extradition agreements. Both organizations maintain alliances with other criminal groups and traditional organized crime families. These relationships provide access to additional smuggling routes, corruption networks, and operational resources that would be difficult to develop independently. The investigative breakthroughs. Recent investigations have provided law enforcement with unprecedented insight into how these organizations operate. The October 2021 raids targeting the Bandidos network and the April 2025 operations against Hells Angels-linked groups have yielded massive amounts of intelligence about their methods and structures. The analysis of encrypted communications seized during raids has revealed detailed information about drug shipments, money transfers, and operational planning. The cooperation of informants within both organizations has also provided valuable intelligence about internal decision-making processes and how the rivalry between the organizations affects their operations. Belgian authorities have used this intelligence to map the complete structure of several criminal networks, leading to additional arrests and seizures. However, both organizations have also adapted to these intelligence breaches by changing their communication methods and operational procedures. The future challenges. Intelligence officials believe the conflict between the Hells Angels and Bandidos will continue to evolve as both organizations adapt to law enforcement pressure. The rivalry shows no signs of diminishing, and both groups continue to compete for the same markets, routes, and resources. The next phase of their competition is likely to involve new smuggling routes as enforcement increases around traditional entry points like Antwerp. Both organizations are exploring alternatives in Eastern Europe, Africa, and Asia, potentially spreading the conflict to new regions. There is also growing concern about the militarization of both organizations. Intelligence reports indicate both gangs have access to weapons and equipment that were previously available only to military forces. The recruitment patterns of both organizations are also evolving, with both groups recruiting younger members who are more comfortable with technology. A continuing conflict. The story of the Hells Angels and Bandidos' conflict over Belgian cocaine operations continues to unfold with each new arrest, seizure, and investigation. The October 2021 raids that exposed the Bandidos network and the April 2025 operations targeting Hells Angels-linked groups represent significant tactical victories for law enforcement. But both organizations continue to operate and compete for control of the European drug trade. The 11,497 kilograms of cocaine seized in 2021 was just one shipment in a much larger and ongoing conflict. Every container that arrives at European ports, every corrupt official recruited, and every violent incident represents another battle in an ongoing war between two international criminal empires that has reshaped the landscape of organized crime in Europe. European authorities face the unprecedented challenge of addressing organizations that transcend borders, adapt faster than traditional law enforcement can respond, and possess resources that rival those of government agencies. The conflict between the Hells Angels and Bandidos over Belgian cocaine operations has become a template for understanding how modern organized crime threatens democratic societies. Both organizations understand that control of European cocaine markets represents billions of euros in annual revenue and global criminal influence. Neither is willing to concede territory or market share to their rival, ensuring that their competition will continue to drive innovation in criminal methods, corruption techniques, and violence. The war between the Hells Angels and Bandidos over Belgian cocaine operations is far from over. In ports across Europe, in the offices of corrupt officials, in the encrypted communications of criminal leaders, and in the meetings where both organizations plan their next operations, the conflict continues to evolve and adapt. As this deadly rivalry continues to unfold, one thing remains certain. The war between the Hells Angels and Bandidos over control of European cocaine operations represents one of the most significant challenges to law enforcement and democratic institutions in the modern era. The story that began with a container of scrap metal in Antwerp has become a blueprint for understanding how international criminal organizations threaten the security and stability of entire continents.